250 years ago, America fought a revolution for freedom, but in 2025, we still can't agree on what freedom actually means. Some people think freedom means the government should give us the space to do as we please, intervening in our lives as little as possible. Others think freedom means the government should intervene in areas like healthcare and education to make sure that everyone has a fair shot in life. And so we have both groups shouting, "We want freedom," at each other while meaning totally opposite things. So today we're going back to the basics. We're going to look at what freedom actually means and why this matters for understanding America in 2025. Our guide for this journey will be philosopher Isaiah Berlin, who pretty much redefined how we talk about freedom. Berlin was born into a Jewish family in Latvia in the early 1900s. Around the 1930s, his family migrated to England to flee rising totalitarianism. So, having lived through World War I and World War II, it's no surprise that Berlin was so concerned with the concept of freedom. You're hardly going to be thinking about much else, are you? From watching fascist and communist regimes rise to power, which both claim to liberate people while actually crushing them, Berlin got fixated on one question: what does freedom actually mean? In 1958, he wrote Two Concepts of Liberty, where he argued that we've been using the word freedom to mean two very different things, and confusing them has led to totalitarianism and all that jazz. So Berlin split freedom into two camps: negative freedom and positive freedom. Let's start with negative freedom. Negative freedom is basically the freedom to do stuff without other people stopping you from doing it. Because I'm over the legal drinking age in the UK, I have the freedom to order a pint of Guinness at the pub. I also have the freedom to freakishly drink it with a straw. In both cases, the government isn't stopping me from committing these actions. And that's negative freedom. I'm free from interference. But if the government suddenly banned alcohol or made it illegal for me to drink Guinness with a straw, then my negative freedoms would be curtailed. Someone, in this case the government, is now interfering with what I want to do. And here's the key: someone must always be involved in limiting negative freedom. That is to say, my negative freedoms can't be restricted by natural barriers or psychological hang-up. Like, I don't have the freedom to fly, but that's not a violation of my freedoms, that's just biology. Similarly, if I can't stop scrolling TikTok because I have no self-control, that's not unfreedom, that's just me being me. But if another person stops me from doing something, whether that be the government, my boss, or just some random guy, then that is a restriction on my negative freedom. Coming back to Isaiah Berlin, he loved negative freedom. He thought it was the safest version of freedom because it kept things simple. Either someone is interfering with you or they're not. That's it. Are other people stopping you from doing things? Yes or no? No? Then you're nice and free and happy, and let's just end the video there. But alas, we have to move on to positive freedom. Positive freedom is the freedom to achieve what you want in life. The freedom to reach your higher goals, like living a meaningful, healthy, and flourishing life. Have a nice home, a family, the ability to travel, that sort of thing. And here's where it gets interesting. Positive freedom can actually justify government interference. If freedom means achieving your full potential, then maybe the government should ban things that hinder you from reaching it, like banning harmful drugs to protect you from addiction, or requiring education so that you can develop your mind, or even redistributing wealth so that you're not trapped in poverty. The idea is these restrictions aren't there to imprison you, but to liberate you. They're helping you become your best self. But then comes the obvious question: who decides what I need? Who decides what I want? The government? And that is exactly Berlin's problem with positive freedom. Berlin was terrified, bless him, of positive freedom because he'd seen how totalitarian regimes had abused it. If the state claims to know what you need better than you do, then it can justify any interference. Like, you don't really want to practice that religion, you'd be better off aligning to our party. It's a slippery slope to authoritarianism. That's why Berlin argued that negative freedom is a safer ground. Now, he wasn't saying that positive freedom is always bad, but he was saying that we need to be really careful with it because it can easily be weaponized. So Berlin gave us two ways to think about freedom: negative freedom, which is freedom from interference, and positive freedom, which is the freedom to flourish and be your best self. And these conceptions of freedom continue to shape political discussions today. But in America, here's the twist: the founding fathers didn't think about freedom in either of these ways. They had a third conception of freedom freedom, and one that's kind of been forgotten, but might actually hold the key to understanding what's going on in America in 2025. It's called Republican freedom. And no, it has nothing to do with the Republican Party. I'll see you next week with part 2 of this series.